Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Happy holidays, and I wish you so much joy, love, and just achieve all your goals and everything that you set out to do in the coming new year. I got my little hat on, a little festive, and got some colored lights going just to celebrate this holiday season. So this video is a special video. This is my 1,000 subscriber celebration video, and what better way to celebrate than to talk to you all about how I became a gamer. And that is thanks to my beloved and dear uncle, who spent so much time with me growing up, so many cherished memories. So my Uncle Ronald, he was an amazing man, and I miss him dearly. He passed away of Alzheimer's many years ago, when I was still in my 20s, and it was so hard losing him. It was really hard. I got to be honest, I wasn't always too kind, because I was just, angry. It's a very horrible disease. But he was such a lovely man. I grew up without a father, and he filled that void for me. And I would very much want to try not to cry making this video, but I'm gonna cry, so just bear with me. He would come down from city. He would travel about an hour or so almost every other weekend, and we would just play video games and go out to eat. Sometimes I'd go to his house and we'd go to the movies and Toys R Us and just play video games and spend so much time together. And I miss him so much, and I know that if he was still here, he would be proud at my position with Premium. I know he would be so ecstatic about that. And there's so many times I'll see a movie or a game or a sequel to something. I think if Uncle Ronnie was still here, he would love this. He would absolutely love this. So, told you I was going to cry. So this video is a tribute to him and a list of games that were beloved to both of us that we played together. So I hope you like this list of games in tribute to my Uncle Ronnie, the man who made me the gamer that I am today. Thank you so much, Uncle Ronnie, for just being the father I never had. I love you, and I know I'll see you again in heaven one day when this life is through. Without further ado, here's the video. So let's start things with a machine you may or may not know about, the Commodore 64. I remember going to my uncle's house for the very first time. I'd never seen an actual computer before, and asked him about it. So he booted it up and showed me several games on floppy disks. One of those titles always stuck out to me fondly: Dune. The original film was a favorite of his. He loved sci-fi and fantasy. He showed me how to play the game. The concept was you're on a desert planet with your chosen faction, and you're all competing for control of a powerful resource known as spice. You have a base that you slowly build up with your own troops and try to take out the other forces. I remember so vividly taking my spice truck out to mine for resources in order to make my base stronger. All of a sudden, a massive sandworm comes out of the ground and gobbles up my spice truck. I remember being startled by the scene, saying, "What was that? What just happened?" My uncle laughed as he explained how you had to be cautious when mining and have troops stationed to guard your spice trucks from sandworm attacks. It's a truly special memory, and why this game makes the list. Another special memory I want to share is Pokemon. I was there from the beginning of the craze. I watched the cartoon, had the trading cards that I would swap with kids at school. It was a simpler time. It was the best of times. I remember my uncle had bought several Game Boy Colors, even the different Pokemon editions, including all the different Pokemon games available at the time. We would play for countless hours, trading Pokemon, talking about Pokemon, watching the cartoon together. It was great fun. But something unfortunate happened. My uncle was robbed. When he was at work, his house was looted. Somebody had broken in and stole all of his video games, Game Boys, and Pokemon games. It was so heartbreaking that some horrible thief would take advantage of one of the sweetest guys I've ever known, who never wronged anybody, who worked hard to get a good education and earned every penny he got, who would give the shirt off his back for anyone in need. You would think after something traumatic like that, you would give up, stop gaming, stop collecting, because you just lost tons of money worth of games and collectibles. But bless my uncle's heart, he went back out and rebought everything he lost. All the same games, the same consoles, and handhelds, so that we could play the games and have fun together. That's how much he loved me, and loved gaming. How many people do you know would actually do something like that because they cared about you, and loved the time they spent with you? I know very few. Even though my love for Pokemon is not what it once was, those earlier games, those special times with him, his selfless act of kindness, will always mean the world to me. And so will those earlier days of Pokemon. But it was the PS1 that was the real pinnacle turning point that set me on my path to becoming a gamer. My uncle bought me my very first PlayStation. Getting it on my birthday, at the time, I had no idea what it was. I thought games could only be played on cartridges or floppy disks, but boy was I glad to be wrong. What an eye-opener the PS1 was for my little eyes and brain. My mother has always been a hard worker, since she was 17. Throughout her whole life, she didn't have a lot of money to spend on us growing up, being a single parent. So on the weekends, my uncle would come down, and he always had some cool new games to show and tell me about. I remember discovering Nintendo Power and PlayStation Magazine, seeing all the awesome titles and being excited, telling him which games I wanted to play. He would go out of his way to track it down so we could experience it. And here are some of our favorite PS1 games. The Command & Conquer games on the PS1 was near and dear to my uncle's heart. Earlier, I spoke of Dune. C&C is a series very similar to that. You build your base, you make your troops, and you try to take out the opposing forces. My uncle loves strategy RTS. They always make you think about how to approach a situation. The voice acting of your troops, when you would move them or build a new unit, the sounds of combat and music, it was great. But the real standout of these games is the FMVs, performed by real actors and actresses. It made you want to see the next cutscene. It was like watching a movie and playing a game at the same time. Each faction had its own unique cutscenes and storyline to follow, so there was so much replay value. Though these games are meant to be played on a PC for optimal controls, me and my uncle spent so many hours just trying to get to that next FMV and beat the next mission. We had such a great time. I really wish these series would come back on consoles. I would love to revisit the games again. Even if the PS1 versions aren't the best way to play them, nothing could devalue the precious times we had together. Final Fantasy VIII was both my first FF and RPG game. From the moment I saw the opening, I was in awe. The visuals for this game was like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was a feast for the eyes. Stepping out into the open world blew my little mind. But what I loved most about the game was the summons, the GFs, and how they could connect to your party and make them stronger. I know tons of people hated the Dron magic system, and where it can be annoying, me and my uncle didn't care. We had so much fun with this game. We didn't even notice it at the time. I just loved all the cool summons you can get, like a big-ass zombie train that looks like it popped out of an 80s metal album cover, a 3-headed dog, a giant tornado dude, a devil and a magic lamp. There were so many you could collect and add to your team, all with impressive cinematic special attacks that just made your jaw drop. Even though I didn't need to summon most of them, I did so just because I loved to watch it.
Even better when you could unlock the ability to power them up for more damage. The abilities and perks they could provide for your characters was so cool, like weakening a monster and turning it into a Yu-Gi-Oh card for Triple Triad, or the ability to get rare items at shops, recover HP just by walking, level down enemies so they're easier to kill, etc. But it was the heartwarming love story between Squall and Riona that was the real star of the show. The ballroom dance scene between the two of them together still touches my heart to this day. Almost like a fantasy Romeo and Juliet, but with a happy ending. Though I can't ignore the flaws, it's still a game I will always love. Not to mention, the game has some of the best post-game content in a Final Fantasy. An island called Hell that you can find full of powerful enemies to level grind on. A UFO side quest that takes you across multiple continents that leads to some cool rewards. Powerful hidden summons for you to collect, like fighting 20 plus Toneberries so that you can face the Toneberry King and acquire him for your party. So many secrets and other locations to discover. You'll be spending countless hours to see it all. Yes, it's true you're punished for using magic because it was tied to your Guardian Force and it would reduce your stats, but it doesn't detract from how much this game did right, and special moments of discovering my first Final Fantasy with my uncle. If Square Enix ever remakes 8, fix some of the issues people have with it while keeping everything else intact we know and love, I would be over the moon for that. So here's hoping they can hurry up and finish Final Fantasy VII Remake so we can get an 8. Fingers crossed. Final Fantasy VII. I experienced 7 after playing 8, seeing some ads on TV at the time, begging my uncle to go out and pick it up so that we could try that game too. Playing these games out of order, at first I was put off by how simple the graphics looked in comparison to 8 that seemed more realistic, if you can even call PS1 graphics realistic. But something about that yellow chibi, spiky-headed warrior with marshmallow toothpick arms and a big-ass sword got my attention. Once I played this game, from the opening cutscene that transitioned perfectly into a train ambush and blowing up the first reactor, I was hooked. The battle music, the anime-style characters with their kick-ass catchy names, the artwork inside the manual impressed me so much I needed to know more about everything this game had to offer. I mean, come on. Just listen to some of the descriptions of these characters. A talking wolf dog that looks like he did a fusion dance with a Charmander, a badass sexy vampire you find underground in a spooky mansion, a buffed tattooed dude with big ass machine gun for an arm who's also beating out Piccolo for best out of the year, a busty babe with max level jiggle physics, a talking cat riding a giant Majin Buu Snorlax plush, a teenage ninja who's also a kleptomaniac for materia, all on a quest to stop an insane swordsman that has mommy issues wanting to end the world by dropping a big-ass Dragon Ball-sized meteor on the planet? How could you not love this game? It sounds like an LSD trip on paper, but it just works. The materia system was so simple in concept but had so much depth to the combinations you could do. The summons were just as badass as 8, and the Golden Saucer had fun mini-games you could play. The side content of raising a chocobo and racing them so you could explore hidden locations throughout the world and secret weapon bosses to challenge. There's a reason why this game is so beloved and got the remake it did today. Because it's that damn good. Xenogears. This game is truly wonderful. The humble beginnings of what would become the Xeno series, that is now widely celebrated on the Nintendo Switch as Xenoblade Chronicles. From the anime cutscenes to the cute pixel-style graphics, you immediately fall in love and think, okay, this is like Final Fantasy VI and Suikoden 1 and 2. But then it hits you with a curveball. You get to pilot giant-ass mechs with 3D polygonal graphics punching and kicking the balls off everything. It's like somebody gave Goku a Gundam and they said, have at it, biatch. The combat system is pretty awesome. You put in different button combinations that use AP and can string together a really neat combo. I love how each button press is a single attack and the game zooms in on the action. If you put together the right chain of moves, your characters pull off a special combo attack that will then be saved to choose from later. There's also EP, which allows you to unleash the game's form of special magic attacks. And it all kicks into overdrive when it's time to summon your Megazord. Gear. The combat of the game feels like an orgy between Gundam, Street Fighter, Power Rangers, and Dragon Ball. But the fun doesn't stop there. The story and characters are fantastically well written, with some pretty sweet tunes throughout the game. Unfortunately, as great as this ride is, it has a huge downside. The second disc of the game is so padded with dialogue and everything feels rushed that you become overwhelmed by a massive exposition dump, to the point you get bored, tired, and confused about what the heck is going on, wondering when they are gonna shut up so you can get back to the play part of the game. It was revealed that most of the team behind the game was very inexperienced and would not be able to finish the game within the 2-year deadline. So as to not end the game abruptly after the first disc, they compromised. It would be 2 discs, but instead of playing through the story, you'd be told the events instead. In short, Square Enix didn't really believe in this game. With the development budget constraints, deadlines, and other factors all contributed to this game being released in the way that it was. If Xenogears could ever get a remaster or a remake, I hope they would give us a revised and expanded version of the game, letting us truly play and explore the second disc events to the same quality as the first. This game is an amazing yet flawed masterpiece that everyone should play, even though I know deep down it could have been so much better. Chrono Cross. Back when I originally played this game, I had no idea about Chrono Trigger, or the hate this game got for not living up to its giant shadow as a sequel to such a masterpiece. A game that I wouldn't experience until several years later on the DS. Maybe playing this with no prior bias has me with rose-tinted glasses, but I don't care. Chrono Cross is one of the best PS1 games of all time. I love this damn game so much, and I'll die on that hill, so fight me. The characters, the story, the music, I could gush about this for hours. I remember fondly how I would sit on the world map and listen to my favorite song in the whole game, Dream of the Shore, Boarding Another World. I would hum the tune when I was at school, aching to get home to play again. I loved how almost every character you met in the game could be a potential party member. Never had I experienced an RPG where you could recruit a bad guy you fought in a boss battle, or a weird creature planted in the ground. A mushroom dude, a skeleton clown you had to put back together, the equivalent of the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz, a talking pink dog, and so many other fantastic characters along the way. With so many endings, choices, recruitable characters, and beautiful locations between 2 parallel worlds, I spent countless hours going back and forth between both, hoping that I could find one new secret or recruit one more character to my party. There's no pun intended when I say this, but this game is timeless, a true beauty among PS1 games. There's a reason it got a remaster for the Switch and PS4, because it deserves it. And to anyone saying it don't because it's not Chrono Trigger, I strongly disagree with you. Because to me, it's the fact it's not like that game, or plays like it, that truly makes it special. If you never played this game, you owe it to yourself to do so. I know you'll love it, and find yourself humming its lullaby-like tunes all day long from start to finish, just like I did. Legend of Dragoon. This was one of the last RPG games to be released on the PS1. Coming out around the 2000s, it truly pushed the PlayStation 1 to its limit, showcasing that the console had the potential to still put out banger experiences. After playing a game this amazing, I almost wonder what the PlayStation 1 could have achieved had Sony extended its life cycle. The beautiful music and melody that encompasses the world truly takes your breath away. The opening cinematics and all of the cinematics throughout the game are something to be seen. The voice acting within the battle systems, the additions that make a simple turn-based combat that was used for so many RPGs over the years into a more active role. Instead of just clicking the attack button or a magic spell and watching it play out, you could time your button presses to make your attacks stronger and release a special combo. Or by mashing on a button, you can make a damage-based consumable item dish out more punishment. But what truly made this game so memorable to me was the ability to transform into a dragoon. If anybody remembers fondly the very short-lived series Mystic Knights of Tir Nagar, that was pretty much medieval Power Rangers, this game is that but in an RPG nutshell.
Fire within me!
Each character has a different element and encompassing a different dragoon, transforming and unleashing the fury of the dragon within. Doing so changes the flow of combat, and you truly feel devastating when your characters are shouting out their big explosive attacks. This game was just a blast to play and to watch. It truly added that much needed kick that most turn-based RPGs lacked, by making it one of the first of its kind that we wouldn't see again until the Shadow Hearts series on PS2 or Lost Odyssey on the 360. But this only scratches the surface of what the game has to offer. If there was one RPG you could play on the PS1 that would showcase everything the console has to offer and then some, this would be the game. If I could have a remake, remaster, a sequel, or a return to this game in any way, shape, or form, I would absolutely jump at the chance. This game truly earns the one-hit wonder. For RPG to be this phenomenal and nothing more come from it, no sequels or spin-offs, very limited marketing and merchandise, it absolutely baffles me. I'll never understand why this game didn't get more love and praise, overshadowed by the likes of Final Fantasy. A series, in my honest opinion, that's been a mixed bag of disappointment that has seen much better days. So many great RPGs of yesteryear have fallen into obscurity, with only a few series surviving, and that's why it's my great pleasure and honor to give The Legend of Dragoon my top spot as one of the best, if not the best, next to Chrono Cross, PS1 RPGs of all time. I highly recommend you play it. Stop what you're doing right now. Put that sandwich down, quit picking your nose, flush that damn toilet, and go play Legend of Dragoon. You'll thank me and my uncle later. Now we're going to change things up a bit. It's time to generation leap to the PlayStation 2. I remember waiting in line at Best Buy to pick up this console at launch with my uncle. We had so many great memories with this platform. The graphics are truly impressive, and a lot of these games still look amazing even by today's standards. So let's take a look at a few of his favorites. Starting off grand with the Grandia series. I know my fellow content creator Mandia will definitely love this part of the video. This series was truly special to me and my uncle. Though we never got to play the first game on the PS1 or the superior Dreamcast version of 2, we absolutely adored the character designs of the series. Ryudo and Millenia are personal favorites of mine. Millenia can stomp on me with her boots any day. The voice acting was always top notch, the music was fantastic, and the battle system was just a joy to play. I love how intense and cinematic the combat really was. How you could actually interrupt an enemy or boss's move by performing a critical attack, which would make their turn jump back and give your characters more time to wail on enemies. On the other hand, they could do the same to you, so you really had to take the time to learn the combat. If you mastered it, you can stunlock all kinds of foes and bosses, making yourself feel truly powerful. Speaking of power, I love the mana eggs. The magic is so damn cool, and the special attacks and abilities you could do are insane. I love how in combat, when you're fighting and you're doing different attacks, sometimes a new special move can unlock, and it pauses the combat and your character automatically does it for free. Your jaw drops on the floor in excitement at the reveal, or you get these crazy team-up attacks with your party members. It's so anime and I absolutely adore it. But my uncle's favorite in the series is Grandia Extreme. Even though it's panned as the weakest of all the Grandia games, he loved it so much because it had one of his favorite actors of all time in a voice role, Mark Hamill, who's best known as Luke Skywalker of Star Wars and the Joker in Batman the Animated Series. It's so cool to know that he actually voiced a character in an RPG. Even the back of the box advertised it as a selling factor. Grandia will always be near and dear to my heart. We spent so many hours playing all of these games together. I was so happy to see the HD collection on Switch. Gung Ho Online, if you're listening, please bring back Grandia 3 and Extreme. Also, please make a sequel to this franchise. We need Grandia 4. The series has to come back. It's too damn good to let it lay dormant. Nothing would make me happier than playing a sequel to one of my uncle's favorite RPG series of all time. Dark Cloud 2. I remember my uncle bringing this game over when I saw the cover art. I thought the characters looked really cute. When we put the game in, I saw beautiful cel-shaded graphics for the very first time. It made me breathless. Though we never experienced the first game in this series, the sequel impressed us. It literally felt like moving, breathing anime on the screen. The combat system was so cool. Exploring big elaborate dungeons, swapping between both playable characters, one tailored for magic and sword, the other who used tools and guns. Being able to get in a big robot you could upgrade, it was so different. I loved how this game changed the formula. In most RPGs, when you bought new weapons or found it in a chest, you'd eventually sell it off or discard the weaker ones, as they no longer had any use. But in Dark Cloud 2, your very first weapon could eventually become the ultimate weapon by the end of the game. Continuous use of said weapons, and by using materials found throughout your journey, you can transform it into the next stage. It's almost like somebody gave your weapons the ability to digivolve and said, have fun! There's even this crazy golf minigame where you're shooting this ball into a dimensional rift to close it up within so many turns. If you do, you'll be handsomely rewarded. I was never good at that, but it was still fun to try. Not to mention, recruiting NPCs and making these massive towns for them to live in was a nice break from all the long dungeon delving sessions. Each dungeon and area you explore was completely different from the last, with new enemies and cool things to interact with. This game was truly ahead of its time, and because of the graphics, it still looks amazing to this day. If you haven't played Dark Cloud 2, you really should. I'm definitely ready for a remaster for modern consoles, and for Dark Cloud 3. Whenever the developers and license holders decide to bring it back, I'll be ready. Now we've come to the last game in our video, but though it's last, it's surely not least. Ratchet & Clank. Though my uncle loved Jak and Daxter, it was Ratchet & Clank that really stole his heart. This furry longbacks and his cute quippy robot buddy always left a big smile on our face. The fantastic humor, responsive and tight gameplay, and the hilarious crazy weapons like the Sheepinator or the Disco Ball was a real treat. Each game was bigger, better, and more hilarious than the last. Flying around in Ratchet's spaceship, upgrading it, breaking all the boxes, collecting all the bolts to upgrade your weapons, find hidden secrets, funny conversations with other NPCs, going to lots of exotic planets full of different ecosystems, strange locals to do side quests for. Even the basic enemies that you fight have funny reactions with each weapon you use. There's so much personality and life in each game. Everything about this series has always made my heart happy. There's something about these characters that make you want to continue the series from start to finish. It's why Insomniac Games still believes in the series today. Whereas other once popular gaming mascots have faded into obscurity or sold off from their original developers and license holders to other companies that don't do them justice, Ratchet & Clank is still going strong, with big-ass wacky guns in hand. To me, they're the true Guardians of the Galaxy. I only wish my uncle was here today to experience some of the new Ratchet & Clank games that he missed out on. I know he would love them just as much as we love the ones on the PS2.
thank you so much for subscribing to this channel and supporting me. If you've been here for a long time or you just joined, I appreciate your support so much. I never thought that I would reach this milestone. I didn't think I'd get past 1 subscriber. I thought, who wants to see this goofy dude with his cringy jokes passionately rant and rave about video games? It's so heartwarming to know that so many of you resonate with my videos and you actually want to interact and talk with me. I look forward to how this channel continues to grow in the new year, and I just want to keep building a positive community where we celebrate games and talented developers, and we care about, you know, not the value of games, but the connection and love and bond that we have with those games and with the people we played those games with, because that's what it's about, the love of games. Now, before I end this video, I want to celebrate the holidays and reaching 1,000 subscribers by giving back to the community that means so much to me. So in order to enter this giveaway, you'll need to be subscribed to the channel, of course, like and comment on this video with your most cherished video game memory. It can be with a friend, a family member, your pet, whatever. Tell me a story that pulls on my heartstrings. I will pick 3 winners whose story resonates most with me, and they will have their choice of either a $10 PSN, $10 eShop, or $10 Xbox digital currency card. I will leave this giveaway up until around the end of the first week of the new year. I want to give people time to chillax with their family and let the video marinate. I'll reach out to the winner in the comments of this video, and they'll need to provide me their preferred social media so I can reach out to them. That could be Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. If you don't use social media, which is weird because you're watching this video, you can also email me at the email here, phil1upcollects@gmail.com, and we'll go through the steps on how to obtain your prize. Unfortunately, this giveaway is only restricted to the US. I don't really have any other means of getting digital currency cards for other regions, so I do apologize. If there's a way for me to do that in the future, I will. But right now, we're keeping this first giveaway as simple as possible. So that's it. That's the video. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck to everybody entering the giveaway. I can't wait to read your stories. I'm really excited for that. And just once again, thank you so much. I love you all. And like always, happy gaming, happy collecting, and let's all one-up our collections together. Bye, everybody. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Game over now. 9, 8, 7.